Hello, my little goblins. We are playing Sky Strikers today. It is one of my favorite decks. One of the first decks I've ever played, really, too. And the deck's just a lot of fun, even with Kagori at 1, which is this card right here. This card lets you recycle a card, Sky Striker card from the graveyard. Usually, you recycle Engage, but sometimes you don't. Even with that card limited to 1, the deck's very strong. It didn't really get too much with the Adventure package since it doesn't really use it. Kind of counterproductive with a lot of the cards that they run because, as you know, a lot of the Sky Striker cards require you to have no cards in your monster zone, only in the extra monster zone, for you to activate. See, if you control no cards in your monsters in your monster zone, then you can activate this effect. So the great thing is DPE works perfectly in the deck because DPE is very good at just popping itself out. Guess what? Your opponent activates effect. Well, pop the DPE, pop your opponent's card, and then you can activate Widow Anchor after the pop on the next card. You know what I mean? So it works very well. We're going to just do a quick overview. One thing I'm going to say I'm already iffy on the deck. I think the list is pretty solid. I'm not going to lie. I think the list is pretty solid. But I think I might, in the future, run 2 Effect Veilers, because I always find myself, I end up drawing the Effect Veiler, and then I can't use it for a Selene. So I think having 2 might be the correct number, just so you have a higher chance of being able to link climb into Access Code Talker. I originally had 2 Zeeks in the deck. I ended up taking out 1 Zeke for a Unicorn, because if we can't go into Selene, the only other level 3 I can go into would be Unicorn, and I didn't have it originally in the deck because I thought 2 Zekes would be more appropriate just to clean things up. Because sometimes going into Zeke is what you need to do when you Widow Anchor your opponent's monster, but you really don't want to use it. So, yeah, so I think the deck's pretty solid. A lot of good recycling cards in it. And let's get into some games, and we can give a final review at the end of it. Hello, everyone. This is Game 1, and we are playing Sky Strikers. Sky Strikers is a control deck through and through. So we might not be playing a bunch of Floodgates, but this deck still can control with the best of them. So our hand is Fusion Destiny with Shark Cannon, which is great because our Shark Cannon can deal with their DPE. So let's see what we can do here. Our hand's a little awkward besides the Fusion Destiny. We really would want to see a Ray in the hand, but let's just pop. Both our cards activate. I activate Shark Cannon. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm up a DPE effect. So I think we're Gucci. Our opponent's going to have Dasher come back, and they're also going to special summon Corridor. Now, the problem with our opponent's play that is a misplay on his part is Corridor, typically they want to use their effect to special summon, because then Thunder Dragon, for you to go into Thunder Dragon, you need to have activated a Thunder effect in your hand. So him special summoning you with Dasher off of summoning the Corridor off of Dasher makes it so he's not going to be able to go into Thunder Dragon, which I assumed what he originally wanted to do. So he's going to call by the grave my DPE, which is kind of, I don't know, I feel like it was kind of odd. But maybe he wanted the special summon effect. That's the reason why he didn't. He's going to Harpies me, so I just ban it. I just negate his Dasher. I just use it to use it. He suicides his Dasher into me. Time Day is making me have a bad day. He's going to get his draw off, and my god, this is already annoying. He goes into Halki, but guess what? We have Nibiru in hand, so it does let us play against the board. He's terraforming. Honestly, when he terraformed, it terrified the shit out of me. And what I'm a little confused on is he doesn't summon the Alistair, which is like really confusing me because He didn't. He did not normal summon. So I'm like 100% sure he could have. He could have just normal summoned there, right? Unless I'm crazy. Right? No, he never mind. I take that back. He normal summoned Despot. I'm a dum-dum. We keep it in, though. We admit our mistakes. We draw Striker, which is a very good draw for us. We set Hercules just to try... If he had back row removal, I wanted to bait it. This is the play I was a little confused on. I feel like you just go Alistar here. But he wanted to go into Psy Reflector. I guess he might have thought this was a better play. He goes into Shen Shen. Which, okay, I get. Shen Shen's a really powerful card. Really annoying. But then he goes into Baron de Fleur. And I was like, okay. Well, that is very annoying to play. But I still think Alistar would be just as annoying, if not more annoying, than all this. The Harpy's Feather Duster, very nice to draw. The reason why Harpy's is such a good card to draw right now, because you know he's going to activate Baron to it, right? So we set our Sky Striker card first, just to see what we draw, and now we're able to draw this Engage. We are going to activate Pop Pop. Now, I do make a mistake here. You're going to see the mistake soon enough, and I'm going to explain the mistake just so you guys don't make it. And it was honestly just me playing carelessly because I was doing other shit while I was playing. But it's no excuse. You should know not to do this. So I go into Shizuku. Now, ideally, what I wanted to do here, you know, I'll just explain when we get to that point. Shizuku's going to search out Engage. So this is a very common board position you want to get to. So I have 3 spells in the graveyard. I have a Widow Anchor, a Shark Cannon, and now I have 2 Engages in hand. So setting up those double Engages is so insane. Because it puts you... I have so much... Like, it doesn't look like it, but my card advantage right now is, like, stupid. Like, I essentially have 5 cards in hand, 2 cards being any Sky Striker card I want. That also means me having another Widow Anchor. So look, this is the power of Engage. And you know what's crazy about Module? Module can set the Engages again. So think about that. So we're going to grab. Look how many cards in my hand. This is just nuts. We're thinning out the deck because Terraforming only has 1 target. Okay, I guess I didn't make the mistake. I might have been thinking of another game. But... that's pretty much how you play the deck. You control the game, right? You control the game. Look at me. You control the game. And then after you control the game, you use your broken-ass cards, which is Mobilize, Engage, to just outpace your opponent's resources. Your opponent is not going to deal with double Pot of Greed. Like, if you have 3 cards, your opponent has 3 cards, but your 2 cards are double Mobilize, Engage, guess what? You're way ahead in card advantage. And not only that, you're able to grab cards like Widow Anchor and follow-up cards like Afterburners and stuff like that, where you're able to put your opponent like so out of the game that it's not even funny. And that's what triggers a lot of people sometimes when they play against this deck. It makes me happy, though. So yeah, that's a good standard... Sky Striker game. Alrighty, we're here for game 2. And guess what? We have Sexy Ray in the hand. You know what? I don't know how old she is. So we have not Sexy Ray in the hand. I don't want to hurt her feelings, though. We have Sexually Ambiguous Ray in the hand. Yeah, we'll leave it at that, I think. We Ash the Prank Kid Lamses. So... our opponent, unfortunately for us, didn't have, like, Called by the Grave or anything. And him not having Called by the Grave makes our second Ash even more disgusting. We're going to pop our Ray. And then, this is a if you guys don't know Sky Strikers, this is a combo you commonly do. Just make sure they don't have Max C so they don't, like, burn you on this. But, like, Use Sky Striker Air Zone. So Air Zone lets you target a card, evacuate the top 3 cards, add a Sky Striker, and then you send the card you targeted to the graveyard. But then you can chain Ray to the effect, right? And Ray will let you special summon a card from the extra deck. And the effect of Aerospace still happens. So we found the Widow Anchor. Can add Widow Anchor to hand. We attack the Meow Meow. We send Engage to the graveyard. Now we go into Gagiri. And now we have options. So if we have Widow Anchor in hand, there's really not many cards I really want to search. But since they're playing Prank Kids, if they somehow have a way to stop this Ash, I want a way of messing with their cards. So we end up going for Shark Cannon. Typically, I'm going to tell you this right now. Our opponent abused us. Kind of cringe. So here, we're getting Nibiru'd. So I pop the Airspace. He Nibiru's us, leaving us with a token. DPE effects activates, we set 3. We bring back the DPE. Pop, pop. And by the way, I do want to point out, big misplay on my part, because I activated Fusion Destiny, meaning you can't special summon anything besides Dark Hero monsters. So, it was just a mishap. I should have just popped the Shizuku and the DPE. It was just my own fault. And it would have been better too, because we wouldn't have this token, but our opponent doesn't know the stuff that I'm teaching you right now. So he's going to attack and let me have access to Widow Anchor and Shark Cannon. So that works. But we have a second Ash for the Dropsies. So I guess we're both making mistakes here. He activates Pranks. I'm not really sure. I don't know if that's the right call. So he's trying to recycle cards. I'm going to actually just use Shark Cannon to get rid of Meow Meow, because this card needs to send 3 cards back for you to draw. And since there's no 3 cards, the effect actually doesn't go off. So DPE is going to come out. Again, we're going to consistently bully our opponent. Draw 2. Not a bad draw, because Maxi is pretty useful. But our opponent has a high likelihood of having an Ash in hand, so I don't know how useful it's going to be. This is just a pure... this game purely just shows how powerful DPE is, right? We're going to Maxi. And there's the Ash. Okay. I was about to say, I'm like, there's no way he doesn't have at least Ash. The Prank Kids are notoriously known for running like a million hand traps, so... Alright, so... Now that Nemesis comes out, we pop the Nemesis immediately because he's going to go into Thunder Dragon. So you don't want to let that card resolve. But that's another kind of typical game. Besides the one misplay, everything else was like pretty fine. The one thing I wanted to say though is if you have Widow Anchor in your hand, when you pick up the Engage from Kagiri, there's 2 options you can have. You can use the Engage to search for extra follow-up like Shark Cannon to deal with your opponent's turn. Or you can hold the Engage back, go into Shizuku, and then you could get another Engage from Shizuku to have double Engage for follow-up next turn. That's another play that puts you so far ahead of your opponent. All right, guys, this is game 3, and our hand is looking a little... not too bad, actually, for us on the draw. Because we have Maxi. Maxi's going to probably draw at least 1 card. I mean, if he didn't stop that Ash, he's definitely not stopping the Maxi. Unless he has an Ash himself, which kind of be annoying. Well, get the draw right here. He's going to activate Alibur. Adds Brandon in red. Activates Fusion Destiny. He's running a weird version, though, that's running Malicious, and he has double Malicious in Graveyard. So, I'm not sure about that. Malicious must be his only level 6 for him to do that play. So we activated Lightning Storm because we have the Called by the Grave. So we're just going to Called by the Grave it immediately. The good thing of him not having Celestial, though, is we don't have to deal with it. The bad thing is Malicious is kind of annoying, too, because you can recycle it with Denier. He can recycle it with Denier. So we're going to Ash this Aliber. And remember, we still have the Nibiru. Ty Bonds Beats. That's kind of a nutty name. He's just popping off right now. Our opponent activates Super Poly to go into Masquerade. I don't know. I feel like I guess he had nothing in the graveyard to use Branded in red. So I guess that's why he just discarded it. He just wanted to have more follow-up. So we put Hercules base. So if you guys don't know, this card makes it so your opponent cannot attack you directly. So we put this on our opponent to just simply protect ourselves. Because he can't attack us. Alright, so now that I drew Ray, I'm ready to start playing the game. So now we're going to drop our opponent. We summon Ray. Our opponent imperms us. Honestly, the imperm doesn't matter too much, but it's pretty bad because now we're going to have like a really insane turn. But yeah, if they held on to the imperm, it would have helped a lot. Because then they could have impermed to Kagari, and I would not be able to do what I'm doing right now. Again, he brings back Blazing Dragon. It's not going to do anything. So when Blazing Dragon's not fusion summoned, see, it has to be fusion summoned for that effect to work. Alright, so we're grabbing Widow Anchor and Aerospace. We end up getting an Aerospace. And with our 500 life points, we're going to be activating. I only did this play because I drew Airspace. So, you might be saying, oh, why would you do that just because you drew Airspace? It's weird. But now, I can pop DPE and Airspace, or I can pop, like, if he tries to do something weird, I can pop the Airspace to get Ray back onto the field. So, that's the whole purpose of that. We negate the Denier because this lets him do a lot more plays, and he has a lot of life points to spare. We pop. Now Ray's going to come out. Now Ray's effect activates. Remember, this is on our opponent's turn. Now we can go into Shizuku. And now we get a free search, which we end up getting Hornet. We're going to special summon Max C, but before we special summon Max C, we're going to special summon Hornet. I mean, we're not going to be able to go for the kill this turn, either way. So, honestly, I feel like I could have just... I don't know. I feel like I could have played this part a bit better. For some reason, I thought I was going to be able to OTKO and link climb into Access Code Talker, but this is before I put Nightmare Unicorn in the extra deck. If I had Nightmare Unicorn in the extra deck, I feel like that play would have looked a lot more normal. But yeah, that was a little awkward. But we're still in a very commanding position. Like, we have Widow Anchor, we got Shark Cannon, and on top of all that, we also have Module. So Module is what puts this deck over the top, because now we're going to recycle all these Sky Striker cards in our graveyard. Here comes Branded Opening, but this is just, it doesn't really matter, because it gets set in defense anyway. And boom, here comes the DPE. Simple as that. We just have to attack. And our opponent is Dunsky. Goodbye. Have a nice night. Alright, so this is going to be game 4, I think? Question mark? 5? I'm not even sure. I think it's 4. I'm not sure, though. Our opponent is going to Max C, but we fortunately have a Ash Blossom to deal with it. Awesome. I mean, the unfortunate thing is we're on the play. So honestly, you could argue that what I should have done was not play the Hornet drones, because you probably want to save Hornet drones for turn 3, where you can go into Hayate and attack your opponent to put Sky Striker Ray. Because when you don't have Ray, it takes a lot of the gas out of your engine. But we're able to get engaged anyway, and that can search for Ray. But I still think maybe saving the Hornet drones is the right play. So we pop to force Luna to activate their effect. And then we can just negate the Luna with the Imperm. Luna is a complete nightmare. It's really annoying to deal with if you ever have the pleasure of playing against it. Pretty much just bounces your cards back. Which obviously, bouncing my DP back would be a nightmare. So our opponent is pops our Shizuku, unfortunately. And here, I'm a little dummy-dumb. I thought I had 3 spells in the graveyard. Thought I'd be able to block it at least. But it doesn't really matter. We got the DPE. Fact failure is going to stop my DPE from being able to pop the alpha. Which is actually really annoying, because now I can't activate engage. But we can look through his Celestial for action. We activate module. And I don't usually recommend activating module this early, but I need to do a lot of shit. Like, my opponent's like pretty far ahead, and I don't want him just one-shotting me. So I have to like kind of pick up the pace. So we're gonna go into Kagari. We drew the Widow Anchor, which is huge, right? And then we're not gonna play the engage, we're saving it for next turn. Because we have Widow Anchor, and we also have module to set this Shark Cannon. Right? And we just have to make sure, because we have 2 spells in the graveyard, we have to make sure we activate either Droplet or this Widow Anchor before we do anything else. So, before the turn even starts, I pop just so I have free range with this mecha. Our opponent draws. They cannot draw anything. They know that we have double engage for next turn, so they just concede because they know I'm going to be drawing 4 cards, with 2 of the cards being search engine cards. Like, I'm going to be able to tutor 2 cards and then draw an additional 2 cards. So, which is a lot better than drawing 4 cards. It's like, you can argue it's like 1.5 times better. So it's almost like me drawing 6 cards because I'm tutoring for 2. Pretty fucking nuts. That's kind of how you play the deck. The next match we're going to be going into is going to be a fun one. Hello guys, I just wanted to show what we did on Thursday's stream. So we did a King of the Hill style duel mode where the first person will have 2 people go against each other, and whoever wins stays on the king of the hill. And then the next person can come in. You can bring whatever deck you want. The person who is the king of the hill can change decks if they want to as well. And it was a ton of fun. And near the end of the King of the Hill, we had like a really intense last match. And I just wanted to go over it because I thought it was a blast. So we are going to replay in the position of Spiffy. Okay, so we are playing, and remember when I was watching this live, I could not see what my opponent, what either player had in their hands. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to pull that up, do that for the replay. But I just thought this was a crazy match. So Randy is playing Unchained. And Spiffy is playing good old Orchist. So he's going to go into Galateo, activate Harpora to get out Symbol Skeleton. And now we're going to be activating a bunch of cards. And Galateo is going to get our Babel, because Babel is the best card in Orchist. Pretty much lets you do everything that you need to do. And at this point, Spiffy has like... He's won like 5 games in a row or something like that. He won a crazy amount of games in a row. He's been King of the Hill for like a while. So it was a pretty interesting and good experience. So it was actually pretty nice to know though, because I can actually see what they had face down. because it looked like they had 2 escaped of the Unchains. Now we go into access code Talker. Spiffy's going to pop the Unchained, and that's going to special summon. We're going to max C. Huh, so it looked like Randy had this Kaiju for quite a while. He had it right in the beginning of the game. We're going into DPE through the Destiny Fusion. Man, it's just like these Unchained cards really just like, if you don't have ways of like banishing or just sending to the graveyard, like they're so resilient. They just keep activating cards over and over and over. It's kind of nutty. Dingirsu protects against Destroy. He's going to pop the Dingirsu to pop the Unchained. And the Unchained's Dark Spirit's effect is when a level 8 Fiend goes to the graveyard. You can add it to the hand. So Dark Spirit is fucking hilarious, by the way. This card is so funny. We're pretty much calling it the Karibo the entire stream. Because that's pretty much how the card works. So he's going to activate Harpour, because remember, Babel makes it so you can use all your Orcus cards as quick play effects, pretty much. Which is just nuts. So we got Droplet, which I thought this was kind of nutty. I didn't know he had Droplet down, but he was able to Harpour to get Skeleton into the graveyard, because remember, Skeleton can bring back Dingirsu, or it can bring back Galatea for follow-up plays, or to just send cards to the graveyard, and that's exactly what's going to happen here. Dingirsu is going to come back. It's going to send the Unchained Abomination, and I'm going to tell you right now, if Unchained Abomination goes unchecked, it will wreak havoc. It'll just destroy everything. It's pretty crazy. So he's going to draw 2 here. We ends up getting a Maxi and a Scrapyard, which I think the Scrapyard is mainly for the Scrap Raptor, which he drew naturally, so kind of unlucky. I don't know if he's running any other Scrap Raptors in the deck. But here goes Barricade Blocker. That's mainly, again, to get the card in the graveyard. And Galatea is going to come out. So now we're going into battle. Again, the Karibo comes out. Brings about Abdominal Unchained. There's no card that can go over that. It's going to take a fat 2,000. And here's the second Dingirsu. So Randy's doing a very good job just staying alive. Here comes IP Masquerade. So it's a pretty strong board for Spiffy right here. Because now he can go into Longirsu. And he's pretty much recycling the cards with Dingirsu. But again, this card, the Dark Spirit of the Banishment is just really annoying, right? Look how aggravating this is. But Spiffy's also being annoying with how many times he's been recycling all his shit. It doesn't look like Spiffy's running the counter trap, which I think actually Orcus Nightmare would be really nice in this situation here. But he's running a bit of a different variation than what I've seen, because he's running Scrap Raptor and stuff. So, and then you see he's got the module. Module's a nice addition. The whole purpose of you running any Sky Striker with Orcus is you typically you just do it to get Widow Anchors, so it's more interaction against your opponent. That's pretty much the reason you run it. Here we still get some good use out of it because we're recycling the Engage, and now we'll have Engage again to draw an extra card. Engage is just pure card advantage. It's a +1 when you have 3 spells in the graveyard, so just remember that. And we definitely have 3 spells in the graveyard. So Fusion Destiny is coming out of Randy, which this is how Randy comes back, right? This is Randy's comeback. Look at that. It's going to be tough. And then he draws Droplet. So I guess it wasn't too tough. But here was crazy. This is what's crazy. So Spiffy like fucking said something in chat once he did this because I was doing commentary for the whole thing. I said, well, he dropleted the Destiny hero, so now he can't Widow Anchor it, though. And I don't think he realized it until it was too late. But now, remember, this annoying banishment card, well, still comes back. Deals another. Spiffy has all the damage Spiffy has taken has been from this. Has literally been from I think banishment, which is hilarious. A very good pot of P for him because he's able to put that Fusion Destiny back in the bottom of the deck. And so what's happening right now? Randy knows he has a Widow Anchor and he's trying to like snipe the Widow Anchor. He's leaving the Orcus Harpora in the field because he can't, Spiffy can't use Widow Anchor while there's monsters in the main zone. So now that Spiffy impermed the DPE, he cannot Widow Anchor the DPE anymore. So he's really running into a lot of issues with this DPE. But Symbol Skeleton's going to come out. He's going to Din Gearsu. Because he's going to want to Din Gearsu the DPE away. But then the Unchained Twins is going to come out and pop the DPE in retaliation to save it. So even though Spiffy's been in control of this match the whole time, this DPE is really letting him crawl out there. And honestly, I feel like DPE is just a really like perfect card for Unchained. Like, I know people say, oh, no, I hate putting DPE. But DPE works really well in this deck because this deck wants to pop things. You know? Again, he's taken another 1100 damage from this fucking card, dude. This Dark Spear of the Banishment. It's just so annoying. He's going to draw 2. What does he draw? He draws a Lava Golem. Oh, gosh. So now he's going to Suicide the Unchained. The Unchained is going to bring back the level 4 Unchained. And this is what I'm talking about. This card is nuts with this deck. So every time a card gets destroyed, you can just start popping shit on the field with Abomination. So since that was popped, boom, pop back row. Boom, destroy this in battle. Guess what? Another thing's destroyed, pop. He just destroyed literally his whole board. How did you really think Randy was going to win that? I didn't. In the beginning of that match, without knowing the cards in people's hand, that was a crazy game. So if you guys want to see more stuff like that, follow my Twitch, and we do stuff. We're going to start doing more events like that because I thought it was super fun to do. And it was a little different than me just playing decks and people watching and stuff. So, yeah. Let's get on to the results for the deck. Hello, I hope you guys enjoyed the games, but here we're at the recap. So I hope you guys enjoyed Sky Strikers. Is this the best list out there? Yeah, it is the best list. Stop arguing. No, lists change depending on what you're playing against. So like, if you're in a tournament and you're expecting to see a ton of Sword Soul, you might want to add something like Token Collector or something. Actually, I don't know about Token Collector just because it does clog up your monster main. But you get what I'm saying. The list can change. It varies from tournament to tournament. Right? But is this a good list that covers a lot of decks throughout the meta right now? Yeah, I think so. I think the addition to the Nightmare Unicorn definitely makes a lot of sense. I still think Effect Veiler up to 2 would probably make a lot of sense. I think if you're going to remove a card and put that to 2, maybe you put a Lightning Storm down, but the Lightning Storms are very good in the deck. This deck typically wants to tear apart your opponent's board going second, so I definitely think it helps. This deck's not very good at turn 1 because your turn 1 is pretty much Shizuku pass or Shizuku DPE pass. Not very impressive boards if you ask me. But I will say that the deck is still as fun as I remember it. I mean, you guys are here for how good the deck is, right? Power scaling, let's do it. Out of 1 out of 10, what do I rate this deck? I think this deck's a solid 8, 8.5. It's still very strong. Like, I know I might be rating it too high, but like it still deals with a lot of the meta, and it's good into a lot of matchups. If you're playing against, let's say, Eldritch, guess what? We have like a bunch of back row that we can deal with Eldritch. We're also running Access Code Talker, which is very good at going into and finishing off Eldritch. DPE is very annoying for Eldritch to deal with. The one thing I will say is if you get Imperial Ordered, there really isn't that much you can do. Imperial Order is one of the cards that just like completely bones you, and you don't really have an out. The only out you have is like, I guess, setting Imperm in the lane of Imperial Order and then negating it and then using like Harpies to get rid of it or some shit. But yeah, Imperial Order is just like one of the tough cards to get out. One of the cards that you're going to see that might be different from a lot of lists is I run a Hercules base, right? So this card is known for recycling our Link monsters usually, right? So a lot of times you want to recycle the Kaguri to get extra use out of it. But I also run one Pot of Avarice. On the tier list, I will say for the amount of times you play this on ladder, it's probably Rogue. And I'm saying Rogue just for the appearance, but on power level, like if we're just strictly talking power level, I'm saying this is a tier 2 deck still. It's still really good. I'm pretty firm on the tier 2 status there. I just think it's a really solid deck, and you could probably take a lot of the meta by surprise with it. Not even by surprise. A lot of people know what Sky Strikers do. It's just, you eventually just get out-carded by the deck. And it's one of those decks that if you miss lethal against Sky Striker, like let's just say I'm playing Sky Striker and you missed lethal on me by like 100 points, it's like the worst feeling in the world. Because Sky Striker is one of those decks that can come back from that situation and flip the script completely. It's one of the few decks that can do that. So, yeah, I think you guys will enjoy it. But if you guys want to join the tournament is being hosted on Saturday at 6 p.m. You just have to join the stream. If you're interested in the tournament, just join the Discord and ask me, oh, what do I have to do to join the tournament? And I'll explain it. Easiest thing to say. Hope you guys have a good one and enjoy the weekend. Bye.